Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my August 2019 horoscope report for you. It is my intention with this video to give you the things that I think you need to know to help you make this the best month possible and learn some astrology while you're at it. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and see all of the resources I have there, including amazing new and full moon blogs to assist you in maximizing those power periods we have every month. If you are into how I teach and you want to learn for personal or professional purposes, check out my astrology apprenticeship program, also on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Go to radicalprayerbook.com to see my new book, which is an Amazon bestseller, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, which has become a beloved favorite of my fellow spiritual seekers. So what's in the stars for you this month? I'm going to go into lots of details, so let's check them out now. Hello Aries friends, welcome to my August 2019 horoscope report for you. This is one of my most favorite months of the year for every sign, but especially for Aries. The planets moving through Leo are going to burn bright with creative potentials in huge ways for Aries placements. And they're going to make amazing aspects not only with your Aries placement, but also with Jupiter, which will now be going direct in Sagittarius, creating the energy of a grand trine, which is the most powerful aspect in all of astrology. It's better than a regular trine because it's multiplied in its potentials. So this time of year, you might notice that you always tend to spark up more because of these fire energies that match yours. And this is going to be especially notable this year because of all the beautiful aspects that are occurring as those placements are moving through and making aspects with your sign. The heaviness, the emotion, the slowness, the uncertainty, all things that are not the favorite things of Aries. Of the July energy, okay, that was all the trademark of July. We had the water energy, we had Mercury retrograde in a water sign, we had 2 eclipses, one of them in a water sign, and all of that murkiness and uncertainty and just moving like you're moving through, mud is not what Aries loves. So forward movement and positive change and vitality is what Aries energies love. And that is going to be what happens this August. It is the best month for launches, moving things forward, and that we've had for a while, and then we will have for a while. So anything important you have to do, you can sync it up with this month for wonderful outcomes. There are 2 new moon energies affecting this month. Like I said, Jupiter going direct, so things that had started to expand, but then kind of stalled out or started moving really slowly, those things will likely gather steam and start to move forward really quickly. So I love this month. It's one of my favorite months. Then we also have beautiful aspects in Earth towards the end of the month and going into September. So you'll be able to ground in and do something amazing and permanent in a lot of cases with the wonderful creativity and fun that has been sparkled in for you. So it's just perfect, amazing. I love this month. I can't wait to tell you all about it. My theme for this month for Aries is the happy surprises, and this is my theme of the month for all signs. But what I'm showing you when I'm about to show you the charts is what sectors of life, what fields of experience, the happy surprise energy in the cosmos are going to drill down into specifically for Aries. So we're going to look at those houses that are aspected, those fields of experience that will light up with happy potentials. We do have a couple of baubles, just 2 aspects that we got to look at. I'll mention them. I'll give you the dates. I'll tell you what could happen. But besides that, it's just to focus on where your happy potentials are. Then I have a wonderful drop-in lesson teaching you about transcending negative astrological wiring. And then I will talk more about the general transits, which includes a list of all of the positive, sweet aspect dates so that you can mark your calendar. And I'll also give you the dates for the ones to watch out for. Okay, so let's check out the charts now. Okay, so a lot of the things that we talk about are going to be true for all Aries placements, but there are going to be places where I differentiate out between early, middle, and late degree, and we are going to want you to know where you are in that designation. So early are basically our March born or 0 to 9 degrees, middle, April 11th through, or 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees, and late is around April 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. And if you have Aries moon or Aries rising, then this report for you is also for you just as much as it is for the sun sign. I have Aries rising, and I'm a middle degree. And I always recommend that you watch the reports for your rising sign and your sun sign at least. And those of you who want to go deeper, your moon will show an additional piece of the astrological picture for the month for you. I am so whacked out excited for us for this month, and I'm going to show you why. And we're going to go into the details. Okay, so at this time of year every year, as the planets crowd into Leo, that makes beautiful trines. Trine is the most favorable aspect in all of astrology. This is when we have an aspect or planets moving through a fellow fire sign. It makes trines to our placements. And when that happens, it's pure sizzle, pure creativity, pure potential, pure awesomeness. The fact that there are so many beautiful aspects this month, just predominantly awesome aspects this month, which is very unusual, only adds to the wonderful picture, and Jupiter is going direct. So what's going to happen is that as all of these planets get to 14, well, these already went there, but as these get to 14 degrees of Leo, which is going to happen this month, they're going to all make trines with Jupiter. And for those of you who have around, let's say, 9 through 19 degrees, but the closer to 14 degrees, the more intense. And so that will put us like the 4th, 5th, 6th, like the first week of the month, basically. If your birthday is the first week of the month or you have those degrees that I just shared, those are also going to create grand trines with your Aries placement. So like really amazing, amazing. But even for Aries who don't have those specific placements, this grand trine of the energy is just completely explosive and awesome. You might notice that every year around this time, at the end of July and most of August, that you get lit up like the 4th of July, even though it's not the 4th of July, because of these fire energies. But they are even more intense now because of what's going on with Jupiter moving forward and Jupiter creating this grand trine effect here. We are going to drill down into where these happy surprises are more likely to manifest. But first, I just want to lay the groundwork, okay? So, as we said, these are going to 14 degrees, then they're making a trine here. Okay, then as these planets move on into Virgo and get to 6 degrees, they're going to trine Uranus, which is known as the planet of surprises. On August 2nd and August 16th are our only baubles of the month, and those come right at the beginning when when Venus is going to be squaring Uranus. And that could be jolts in money and love and certainty. And then when Mercury comes on the 16th and makes that same jolt energy with Uranus, it could be some unwelcome news. But the fact that it's Uranus, which is a fleeting, unstable energy, and the fact that these placements will move by very quickly, it kind of, that's why I'm calling it a bobble. So it's like a, oh gosh, that's stressful, but then there's all of this potential for amazing resolution to come from those bobbles. And it's possible that those could present a problem and these could present the solution. Okay, so now we understand what is going on with all of these trines, and now we can talk about where these things can show up for Aries placement. So I'm going to make a grid. I'm going to break it down by house, and then we'll go and talk about what that means. Houses are fields of experience that we have as humans, and when the aspects occur in those houses, it shows us the areas of life that can be accentuated. So these areas of life I'm about to list have the chance for those bobbles, the couple of like jolts, but then they also have the chance for, even more wonderful potentials. All right, so let's first look at what we're essentially looking at is where is 14 degrees through 6 degrees of Virgo. So in the early degree chart, that's the 5th house and the 6th house. Okay, so we'll put 5th and 6th. Jupiter is in the 9th house, so when it makes a connection, it's going to accentuate there. Uranus is in the, well, depending on your exact placement, it's either going to be 1st or 2nd, so we'll just put that there. All right, so now let's look at the middle degree chart. Get you guys on the board here. Okay, so 14 degrees through around 6 degrees, that's going to predominantly be the 5th house, but there could be a little bit of 6th house in there. Jupiter's on the line between the 8th and 9th house, which means that those expansion energies can come in either of those places. And then Uranus is pretty much the 1st house there for you all. It's not really accentuating the 2nd house as much yet. You very early middles, you might be feeling this, but for the most part, it's going to, I mean, some of you might get a little of that in the 2nd, but for the most part, the 1st. Okay, just bear with me a second. We're laying the groundwork, and then we're going to go through the grid and see what these houses could have in store for you. I guess I got to get all that out of the way. Okay, so 14 degrees through 6 degrees of Virgo. That's going to be very much focused on your 5th house, but there could be some whispers into the 4th. And then Jupiter is in the 8th for you all, but because Jupiter is in Sag and Sag rules the 9th, the energy of the 9th can be accentuated. And then Uranus is really just in the 1st house for you all. Okay, so now we can talk about what this means. The 1st house, which is full of potentials for all Aries placements, has to do with your view. Well, it's more how people see you, but it does affect your view of yourself. It's your physical health, it's your physical body, it's your image, it's how people see you. The chance for recognition is super high, where all eyes are likely to be on you. This month, opportunities for things to go really well, for you to get known for that, you know, something positive. Okay, so early and middle, you all have that potential for money surprises from the house perspective. But all signs, including the late degree Aries, because Venus is involved in the interactions with Uranus and the interactions with Jupiter, that rules money. Money and love can come up for all placements, but there's extra focus for early and middle on the money sector. Late degree placements, you might see this show up in homes, housing, family. Sweet surprises there. Early, middle, and late have their happy surprise potentials to show up in the 5th house, which has to do with your creativity. Your creativity, whether it's a baby, oh gosh, whether it's a baby or whether it's a creative project, is going to be lit up beautifully. And you might notice that you get super creative at this time of year every year, where your creative juices are flowing. And this can have to do with anything not having to do with children, but with like a project as your baby. Or it can have to do with other people's children or your children or milestones with your children or something like that. This can have to do with leadership, you being out in front of people, leading like you love to do. This can have to do with acting and singing and performing and anything that puts you center stage. Also has to do with hobbies and fun. So bucket list things, things that you've always wanted to do that make you super happy and feel like crazy energized, are more likely this month. Also, really robust potentials, romance, because the 5th house is the house of romance. So dating, if you're looking to date, this month is amazing. If you're looking to advance in a relationship you're already in, this month is amazing with surprises, happy potentials there. Okay, so early and middle, you've got energy in the 6th house, which has to do with your daily work. Surprises there, mostly happy ones. And this could have to do if you're self-employed. This can have to do with making money. This can have to do with pets. If you're looking for a pet, especially the 7th or like closer to the middle of the month and after for longer term things. Changes to your daily routine. And this is also a health house. So you've got it coming from 2 places of the likelihood of health improvements or important information that can support you can come in now. Now there could be a health crisis from that little bobble, but then it could lead to a breakthrough. Middle and late, you've got your 8th houses accentuated, and this has to do with partnerships. So moving forward in your deep deep partnerships. So where you're like very entangled. This can also have to do with money things, so paying off debt. This can have to do with using credit to get something that you want to advance, getting access to money that you've been wanting, happy surprises there, or winning money, or the equivalent of winning money, like feeling like you won the lotto, or actually literally doing that. Inheritances, you know, anything having to do with other people's money, your parents helping you out, your spouse helping you out. Also, psychological breakthroughs can happen here. And anything involving finding an answer to something that you are investigating. And last but not least, for everyone, the 9th house is lit up in wonderful ways. So this has to do with teaching, learning. So education programs. You might have the perfect education program that you've been wanting come to you. You may be teaching. You may have opportunities to travel, especially long distance or connections with international business. Publishing, huge this month. If you wrote a book and you want to launch it, or you want to do stuff with your book, this is my favorite. This is one of my favorite months of the whole year. Anything important, big decisions, moves, big commitments, especially more towards the middle of the month and after, signing papers, making agreements, launches of any kind, bringing anything out into the world in a big way. This is one of my favorite months in general for everybody, but especially for Aries and the fire signs, especially if your work has to do with the 9th house of teaching and learning and publishing and international connections. If you're trying to get out to a global audience, this is one of your best chances for a long time. And now that Jupiter's direct, which is the ruler of the 9th house, the chance for expansion in those areas is multiplied. Okay, so I hope that you are excited about this month. If challenges come in this month and they're coming through the aspects that I mentioned, the little baubles, then they'll pass quickly. There is a chance for some eclipse-related news or changes to come in, and those could carry some of the heaviness or the magnitude of the eclipse. But the pure energy just of the aspects happening this month are just, oh wow, really amazing. I hope you're excited with me. And do remember to do your inner work, because the more you clear out things that make you not a vibrational match for all these wonderful potentials, the more they are likely to manifest for you. Astrological potentials are not astrological absolutes. You know, these show what can happen and what have an increased chance of happening, but it's each person's responsibility to adjust their energy field and clear out the things that could have been blocking positive manifestations in the past, and it can open the way for positive manifestations in the present and the future. So speaking of which, I have a special lesson that I'm dropping in for you that has to do with transcending negative astrological patterning. So if you find that astrologers are excited and talking about positive potentials and you don't seem to have them manifest that way for you, then it is very likely because you are not a vibrational match to receive that. And the information I'm going to put in this drop-in lesson can give you more resources as to how you can become a vibrational match. So if you're interested in that, great. You will see that as the next lesson. If you are not interested in that, I think you'll be missing out, but you can fast forward till you see me back on the screen, which is when I'll talk about the general transits, including listing the dates of those sweet aspects so that you can mark them down. Okay, so let's go to the next lesson. Okay, welcome to my special section on transcending negative astrological patterning. This has been a focus of mine for the entire time I've been doing astrology, which has been almost 2 decades now. I have always gone into astrology as a self-development tool, understanding what's going on so that we can use the information to create the best experience from it. Now, the more you follow astrology and you start to see the amount of things that are true that you can see in there, both from your wiring and the things occurring in the stars, then you start to, some people will start to get a fatalistic attitude towards it and think, wow, since all of that's in there, I must be doomed to continue experiencing that. And for many people and in many instances, that is actually occurring if you are not actively clearing the negative astrological patterning. There are a lot of there's a very complicated discussion as to what it is we bring in with us astrologically and where those pieces come from. But for this discussion, I'm going to focus on strictly the genes, the DNA, the genetics, okay? So this has to do with our ancestry, our bloodline, and things we pull in genetically. Now, we don't just pull in medical issues genetically. We don't just pull in how we look genetically. I believe that we pull in belief systems. And as we are imprinted with these potentials in the genes, we are then in a situation where nurture, our environment, can help to express those potentials or help to express different potentials. So, if you're feeling trapped in something that has been a pattern in your life, whether or not you also notice that that was a pattern in your genealogy, there are ways that you can get the better end of that. If there's something awesome programmed in, like you're a math wizard or an artistic genius, then yeah, we want to keep that, right? But we're talking about the negative astrological patterning, these belief systems that are creating our reality, a lot of times completely out of our awareness. And even when you start to become aware that it's in there and you're creating from it, the task of clearing it up is, very rigorous self-development. But it can be done. Those subconscious programs have to be dealt with because those are creating the environment for your cells, for your DNA to actually express. So I want to talk about a scientist. His name is Bruce Lipton. He's a stem cell biologist. You can find Bruce Lipton on YouTube. You can get his book, The Biology of Belief. Okay, this is landmark stuff here. And it directly relates to astrology because astrology shows us genetics, basically, that we come in with. And I'm seeing this more and more all the time. All kinds of genetic issues and genetic tendencies are being carried over. You can see them in the chart. Okay, so the biology of belief, you can find that to go deeper into this. But basically what happened, okay, so I'll give you the story of what's gone on because this is going to help empower you with the goal of transcending negative astrological patterning to understand this from a scientific perspective. Okay, so the basis of the biology of belief is that genes do not control life. Okay, that's a big bomb, right? Big bomb. So when Bruce Lipton was doing experiments that brought this epiphany, he was going into a cell and removing the structure called the nucleus. Okay, so the nucleus is the structure that contains the genes. So if genes control life and you throw away the nucleus, then there shouldn't be anything to control life in the cell, right? Okay. So he explains that there's a joke that the cells can live for 2.5 more months with no genes at all. And they still carry out all of the complexities of life. Move around, eat, breathe, just they move through life. So then the first thing you have to ask is who's controlling the cells if it's not the genes, right? So this is a really big deal. Okay, so then the big boom for him came where he had, so basically he would put stem cells, isolate one stem cell and put it in a petri dish. Okay. Then it would divide every 10 hours and after a few days, he'd have thousands of cells. All right, so they're multiplying, they're dividing. So they all came from one cell, meaning they were genetically identical. So then he got to where there's like 10,000 cells in a petri dish, okay? Then he would separate out the cells into 3 petri dishes. Okay, so he takes them from there and he puts them in there. Okay, so now these are genetically identical cells. Okay, this is the thing to note. Then what he did is he changed the growth medium. Okay, so the liquid in there, he changed. He made, so the cells are identical, but he changed the growth medium. Okay, so that's basically the constituents of the environment. All right, so these red and orange and green pieces, or matter here, that is representing different environments. Same cells, genetically identical, different environments. So then what happened was, the first dish formed bone. The second dish formed muscle. And the third dish formed fat. All right, so hopefully you're getting this. This is clicking, because this is like, it's mind-boggling stuff. Identical. And then they formed all these completely different outcomes based on their environment. So what he is saying, and I concur, is that our environment is what is calling the shots. Now, of course, there are other factors, and we could nitpick and look at, and analyze, and nothing is as simple as one way, right? But this is a huge piece. So this means that if we change our inner environment and be mindful of our outer environment, we can start to change how the astrological potentials manifest for us in the form of our life and our experience. Okay, it's very exciting. Okay, so a basic summary is the environment includes a massive amount of factors, and we won't get into them all now. But included in the environment is our perceptions, which are shown when we look at the astrology. When we're looking at a chart, all of the different placements in there, different signs and houses, they're showing us a tendency towards perceptions. And even the outer transits, when they're happening in the sky, when planets are getting together, certain configurations, they tend to create us having a tendency towards certain perceptions. A perception might be we're excited, hopeful. A perception might be we're like a victim and there's a tyrant, so these different tendencies to have a perception, we can see those astrologically. So the tendency to have a certain perception is synonymous with karma. If we see something a certain way, we draw to us certain experiences. So basically, changing perceptions changes karma and changes the DNA expression, which changes potentials, which changes outcomes. So we can basically have more say in our lives by changing our perceptions. Seeing how the perceptions we have are creating our experiences. And sometimes they're deep inner, unconscious, subconscious perceptions, but you're having a certain perception because of the outcome. Like if you are having trouble with money, inside you have a perception that you can't earn money, that you, for whatever different reasons, if you have a perception inside that you can't trust partners, well, then you pull in people that aren't trustworthy, things like that. So pinpointing perceptions, which you can do very nicely with astrology, shifting the perceptions with tools, like I always, suggesting EFT and many other things, help to change those perceptions. And that changes the environment, which affects the whole cascade. It's very empowering. It does create a need for accountability, though. Like, our current circumstances are sourced within us and outside of us, but because that's part of the environment, but our inner environment, we can affect our perceptions, and then we can still change all of that. So you can see from all of this why I always talk about inner work and why I can't separate astrology from coaching or suggesting inner work and self-development, because how you experience the stars is going to depend on your perceptions. And if you want to have a better experience, you have to change the perceptions. Well, then you have to use the tools to change the perceptions. And that goes from a victim mentality to true empowerment, that we have the power. So you have the power. You have the power to change your life. You just have to be diligent, consistent with effective inner tools. I'm calling the theme of August 2019 for all signs, happy surprises abound. This is one of my favorite months of the whole year for sweetness and magic and wonderful things. There are way more sweet aspects this month than there are salty ones. And in fact, we really only have two little troublemakers that I'm most concerned about, where everything else is just sweet. Now, do note that because we are so soon after the eclipses, that earth-shaking eclipse news can still be coming in from July, but they're not coming in from the aspects in August. Those are carryovers from these major events in July. If you haven't already watched my June and July reports, then definitely check that out, because there are pieces in there that are very relevant for this whole period of time. And in the June report, I go into the details about how each eclipse worked your sign individually. So I see those reports as a sister companion to this report as well. So this is a very unusual month. It's very rare that we have like at least 12 beautiful aspects and only 2 difficult ones. So we do have a couple of things to look out for. So I'm going to go into those things. The first thing we need to know is, besides the eclipse changes that are coming in and are starting to set foot, that's definitely still very current in August. If you had things come to you in July and you were holding off to officially sign or to officially put things into motion for the opportunities that came to you in July, I love the middle of August and after for that. There are some sweet days in the first half of August, but those are for more short-term contracts or ones of lower stakes. I am going to go into the dates that I love most for what here in a second, but just be aware that Mercury went direct right at the very end of July. So really at the beginning of August, we're very much covered in Mercury retrograde, and really until August 15th, there's, confusion or uncertainty or still ironing things out, or kind of like temporary or bridge agreement type of energies. But it is a good time to wrap things up, but a lot of new things are also going to be coming in. So that's exciting. So the whole month is definitely very sparkly with zesty Leo energy. And this is burning bright with creative potential. This is, a wonderful month full of the combination of zest from Leo and grounding Virgo. And whenever we have energy like that, it really helps us to be super productive, because there are so many potentials crackling around, but then we also have this, wherewithal and focus to do something about it. So it can really bring substance to that glowing creative potential. It's a truly magical time in the cosmos. So this is one of my favorite months of the whole year for taking big steps, for basking in glory of events that led up to come to fruition now. So basically for projects that have a shorter term intention, like a 6 to 9 month project, or something that is just a carryover of something you've been working on, August 7th, 8th, 11th, and 13th could be great for that. For the ones that you are doing like a major launch, big steps, life-changing decisions, long-term things, long-term commitments, my favorite dates are the 21st, the 26th, the 28th, the 30th, and the 31st. So you can also get a write-up of the dates, why I like the dates, what could happen around those times, and other things to look out for a month ahead in your inbox when you sign up for my free email newsletter. So when you go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, you will get my write-up a month before the actual month, so you can have a written version of my general transit report for you. Plus you get my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free when you sign up for my free email newsletter. So you can check that out at AnnieHelpsYou.com. So drama and stress are more likely in the days around August 2nd and August 16th. Those are the only times where, now, like I said, not to say that drama can't come from something in your personal chart. Our personal chart is something that we can't really take into consideration when we're looking at horoscopes, because there are so many individual factors in your individual chart that we can't see in the horoscopes. But from the general horoscope perspective, it's very clear sailing. So I'm just going to point out the challenging ones. On August 2nd, we have this Venus in Leo squaring Uranus in Taurus. So even though the theme of this month is happy surprises abound based on all the sweet energy and also a lot of sweet aspects with Uranus, which is why I have the word surprise in there, because Uranus tends to bring surprises. When it's in a challenging aspect, sometimes those surprises are not welcome. And this August 2nd one could be unpleasant or jostling, especially in the areas of money or love or your certainty within yourself. So definitely also guard your physical body with extra care and walk with more awareness, okay? Because it's more likely that something will come flying from a window when you're walking, or, you know, that you just have to pay more attention at this time and guard your physical body. And also just be aware that some bumps might come in that the areas of love and beauty and money. The second one that, again, this is an aspect with Uranus. This energy is very much the energy of surprises. And if you've been watching my reports over the last few months, you'll notice I've been using the word surprise a lot. And that's because eclipses bring them in. Sometimes they bring in something that we've expected and hoped for. And in that way, it's not exactly a surprise, but when it actually comes to fruition, it kind of feels like a surprise. So, but then sometimes eclipses also bring in surprises where we're like, we don't really like that. But eclipses have a similar energy to the planet Uranus, and Uranus brings in just like things out of the blue, you know, jolts to your nervous system. And sometimes those are happy jolts, like I said, when they're in sweet aspects, but when they're in these challenging ones, that's when you got to watch out. So we have two of those challenging ones this month, the first and the second. First one is on the 2nd of August, and the second is on August 16th. Now, since that one on August 16th is energetically combined with the full moon in Aquarius, that could be, even though it's a positive full moon in a lot of ways, and I love it for a lot of reasons, this combination of this other aspect being near it is a mixed bag, because you could have something sweet occurring at the same time as the surprise comes in. And since it's in Mercury, it rules news. It also rules mobility. So like being extra careful when walking and driving. And, you know, this is the standard place where we warn, don't text and drive. Don't walk and text. Don't be on your bike texting. Things where your physical body really needs to be minded more, or other people's. This is a time where you don't want to push your luck. So shocking news and other events are more likely. I have seen this manifest as a pleasant surprise, even though it's a difficult angle, but one that brings either exhaustion or some sense of like overdoing, or like you're being challenged in the way that something surprise has come in, but now you have to make room for it in an otherwise also very busy schedule already. So I have seen it manifest that way. But everything else is just sweet, 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 sweet. So those are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits, is just a lot of sweetness. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. You'll get to see more details about why I like those days that I listed, and what my why I think that they're amazing times for launches. So I go into like an itemized look at each day and each transit in that report. So if you love the way I teach and you want to learn astrology for personal or professional purposes, I can train you how to be a professional astrologer, and I can also assist you to just use it for yourself and your friends. You can check my program out, Astrology Apprenticeship Program, at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you like written horoscopes by me, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com, and a month early I have up more simple, less detailed, but still very helpful, because they're written and they've got very important pieces. And a lot of times I talk about different things for your sign than I talk about in the videos. So they're complementary in that way. So you can check those things out. Look at my book, radicalprayerbook.com, or you can just search for Annie Botticelli, Radical Prayer on Amazon. My wonderful little book of prayers and affirmations to help you live in your highest expression. You can see that at radicalprayerbook.com. And check out my husband's website, B.R. Newman, I Am Helios, IAMHELIOS.com, where you can see all the goodies and the things that he's getting himself into now that will be very helpful for you as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.